There is a man who won 2 World Series rings, earned 9 Silver Slugger Awards, and hit more postseason home runs than anyone in baseball history. Pitchers walked him intentionally more than 200 times across his career, not because they had to, but because they were afraid to throw him a strike. And yet, his own teammates spent years thinking he didn't care. David Ortiz, after playing alongside him for nearly a decade, said it plainly. Manny wanted people to believe that he was lazy, that he didn't really care. That's how he spotted your weakness. He was a hunter. Before Manny Ramirez ever stepped into a major league ballpark, the stories were already hard to believe. In his final year of high school in New York, he batted .615 with 14 home runs in just 22 games. He was named New York City's top high school player that year and was drafted 13th overall by the Cleveland Indians. By every measure, he was the best young hitter in the country, but the moment that defined him happened before any of that. During a high school game, Manny stepped into the batter's box and raised his backhand to call timeout. The umpire never granted it. The pitcher delivered anyway. Manny had not yet placed his second hand on the bat, but he swung regardless. One hand, the ball traveled nearly 400 feet down the left field line into a handball court. His coach, John Mandel, recalled it years later. He hit the ball down the left field line into some handball courts. Almost 400 feet. He was trying to get his hand on the bat, never got it on the bat, and just swung. What made it stranger was what came after. Despite being the best prospect in the country, Manny kept asking his coach whether he would get drafted at all. Bernie Pleskoff, who scouted him for Cleveland, described what he saw from the beginning. He was a natural hitter. He had thunder in his bat. Pitchers feared him. The talent was always there. The self-doubt was real, too. That combination would quietly shape everything that followed. The public version of Manny Ramirez was a man who forgot lunch plans, disappeared into the Green Monster during games, and treated the sport like a casual hobby. That version made for great television. It also made for a very effective disguise. Pedro Martinez, a Hall of Fame pitcher who shared a clubhouse with Manny in Boston for 4 seasons, addressed this directly in a piece he wrote for the Players Tribune. His words were precise and deliberate. Some people won't believe this, but I've never seen a harder worker than Manny Ramirez. I've never seen someone more dedicated to understanding his body and the rhythm of hitting. If you ask David, he'll tell you that he learned hitting from Manny. David Ortiz confirmed it. In his own farewell piece for the Players Tribune, Ortiz wrote about what he witnessed every single day in the cage. The reality is that nobody worked harder than Manny. Let me repeat that. Nobody worked harder than Manny Ramirez, period. What that work actually looked like was not dramatic. It was repetitive, quiet, and relentless. Manny spent hours on the batting tee. He reviewed video of his own swing and of opposing pitchers with a level of detail that most players never applied. He studied pitch sequences, tendencies, arm angles. Ortiz described the experience of watching him. Manny was the type of professor that he didn't used to say much. All you've got to do is focus on his work ethic and you'll learn. And that's what I did when I got to Boston. I had the talent to hit, but I didn't have the talent to slow pitchers down like he used to. The chaos on the outside was real. But inside the cage, before the cameras arrived and before the games began, there was a man doing the work that nobody was supposed to see, and that was exactly how he wanted it. In baseball, every hitter has a weakness, a location in the strike zone, a pitch type, a specific arm angle, something a pitcher can exploit if he executes well enough. Scouting reports are built around finding that weakness and attacking it repeatedly until the hitter breaks. With Manny Ramirez, that report was nearly impossible to write. David Ortiz, who batted directly in front of Manny for years and watched him from the on-deck circle in hundreds of games, explained it in an interview in 2022. There are a lot of hitters in the MLB who have a hole in their swing. That means there's a spot where you can consistently pitch to them and get a strikeout. But Manny Ramirez didn't have that. That's what made him one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. Ortiz went further. I think Manny was the best right-handed hitter I've ever seen. His swing was so beautiful. I cannot tell you a single pitch that worried Manny when he was up. Fastball, slider, changeup, Manny didn't care. He was that type of hitter. But the most unsettling part was not just that he could hit any pitch. It was that he could pretend he couldn't. Teammates and opponents both noticed a pattern. Manny would take a swing that looked completely wrong, too early, badly fooled by a breaking ball. The pitcher would walk back to the mound feeling confident. Then, later in the at-bat or later in the game, the same pitch would arrive again. This time, it left the ballpark. Alex Cora, who played alongside Manny with the Red Sox and later managed the team, captured the feeling shared by nearly everyone who watched him closely. I don't know if he's setting people up, or he knows what's coming, or what. He probably just sees something we don't. That sentence says more than any scouting report ever could. When a teammate who plays the game at the highest level cannot explain what he is watching, the hitter doing it is operating in a different category entirely. At some point during his career, first baseman Carlos Pena decided to ask Manny Ramirez directly. Pena had watched him long enough to know that something unusual was happening at the plate, a level of control and calm that did not match anything he had seen from other hitters. So he asked Manny for the secret. Manny's answer was 3 words: "I see the ball." Pena recalled his immediate reaction. "I was like, come on, Manny, don't be like that. Don't be so greedy. Share some of your secrets." He assumed Manny was holding back, keeping something valuable to himself. But as he sat with the answer, Pena began to understand what Manny was actually saying. It was not deflection. It was the entire philosophy, compressed into the simplest possible language. Pena later reflected, his ability to keep it that simple is genius. Such a mastery of your emotions, that's incredible. Most hitters think too much. They carry pitch counts, scouting reports, mechanical reminders, and situational pressure into every at-bat. Manny carried 3 words. What is remarkable is how long that philosophy has lasted. In September of 2025, Red Sox manager Alex Cora was working with a struggling young hitter and reached back 17 years to the same source. Manny always mentioned that if you don't see the ball, you're not going to hit it. He added simply. Pretty much anyone can learn about hitting from Manny. The man had been retired for over a decade. His advice was still the standard. In the fall of 2004, the Boston Red Sox faced the New York Yankees in the American League Championship Series. Boston had not won a World Series in 86 years. The Yankees had eliminated them the previous year on a walk-off home run in Game 7. The weight of the rivalry was at its heaviest. While the public narrative focused on pressure, curses, and history, 3 men inside the Red Sox clubhouse were doing something quieter and far more calculated. David Ortiz described the preparation years later in the Players' Tribune. "You know how many hours, Manny. Pedro and I spent hunting those Yankees pitchers before that series even started, just sitting around watching Moose and Pettit and Rivera talking about how to attack them." Pedro Martinez wrote about the same dynamic in his own Players' Tribune piece. "My favorite memories are being at the park with David and Manny Ramirez, trying to figure out how we were going to beat those Yankees pitchers. We spent all of our time together talking baseball. Manny, David, and I worked together like a wolf pack. We'd be looking for the prey." The word prey is worth pausing on. These were not 3 players hoping to get lucky against a great pitching staff. They were systematically breaking down each pitcher, his sequences, his tendencies, what he threw in specific counts before a single pitch had been thrown in the series. The results followed. Boston came back from 3 games down, the first team in professional sports history to overcome that deficit. Manny hit 300 across the series and closed it out in the World Series with a 412 batting average, earning the Most Valuable Player award. What looked like resilience to the outside world had been preparation all along. The hunter had already done his work before the series began. Statistics in baseball can be manipulated to tell almost any story, but some numbers resist interpretation. They simply sit there and demand to be acknowledged. In 1999, Manny Ramirez drove in 165 runs in a single season. That figure had not been reached by any player since Jimmy Fox in 1938, 61 years earlier. He was also the first player since Ted Williams in 1949 to record more runs batted in than games played in a full season. In the postseason, the numbers become even harder to contextualize. Manny finished his career with 29 postseason home runs, the most in Major League Baseball history. No one else is close. He also holds the all-time record for postseason runs batted in, with 78 across 111 playoff games. Then there is the number that pitchers themselves created. In 2003, opposing teams issued him 28 intentional walks, the most ever recorded by a right-handed hitter in Red Sox history. An intentional walk is not a statistic that reflects what a hitter does. It reflects what a pitcher refuses to do. 28 times in a single season, a professional pitcher looked at Manny Ramirez and decided that throwing him anything near the strike zone was not worth the risk. In 2004, Manny and Ortiz became the first pair of teammates since Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig in 1931 to both hit 40 home runs, drive in 100 runs, and bat 300 in the same season. Some numbers do not need commentary. No honest account of Manny Ramirez can avoid the other half of the story. In 2009, he was suspended 50 games after testing positive for a banned substance. 2 years later, facing a second violation and a 100-game suspension, he chose to retire rather than serve it. The Hall of Fame votes came and went across 10 ballots. He never came close to the 75% threshold required for induction. The numbers that should have guaranteed him a place in Cooperstown were not enough to overcome what happened at the end. David Ortiz, the person who knew his hitting better than anyone, spoke about it directly after his own Hall of Fame election in January of 2022. Not seeing him in the Hall of Fame right now is something that really hurts me. And it hurts him because he knows that he made mistakes that he shouldn't. Ortiz did not stop there. Manny, while he played, was a hard-working guy who had his personality. That's not a secret for any one of us. And he admitted he did so many things the wrong way for being immature. Even the way Manny handled his own Red Sox Hall of Fame induction carried a particular irony. He missed the official ceremony entirely due to a personal conflict. He showed up unannounced on a random Monday night weeks later, threw out a ceremonial first pitch, and received a standing ovation from the Fenway crowd. Alex Cora, watching from the dugout, could only laugh. He's the only guy that misses his Hall of Fame induction and comes and throws out the first pitch on a Monday. The talent was never in question. The rest of it was always complicated. The clearest measure of what Manny Ramirez meant to baseball is not found in record books. It is found in what the generation that came after him chose to carry forward. Juan Soto grew up in Santo Domingo, the same city where Manny was born. As a child, his mother kept him indoors most of the time because the neighborhood was not safe. So he invented his own version of baseball, crumpling sheets of paper into a ball, covering them with tape, and playing out imaginary games alone in a hallway. The team he always chose to be was the Boston Red Sox. When asked in 2023 to name his favorite players of all time, Soto did not hesitate. My favorite players of all time? Actually, there are two, and one is here: Robinson Cano and Manny Ramirez. Soto has since signed the largest contract in the history of professional sports. His plate discipline, his ability to use the whole field, his refusal to chase pitches out of the strike zone, the echoes of what Manny built are visible in how the next generation plays. The influence extends across the Dominican Republic. Ramirez, Ortiz, and Pedro Martinez formed the generation that young players from Santo Domingo watched grow up. Soto has said plainly that the Boston Red Sox were his team as a child because of them three Dominican players who showed what was possible on the biggest stage in the sport. That kind of influence cannot be measured by statistics. It moves through neighborhoods, through batting cages, through the choices a teenager makes about who to imitate when nobody is watching. Manny Ramirez retired over a decade ago. His classroom never closed. David Ortiz said it best. He was a hunter, not a slugger, not a run producer. A hunter, someone who studied his prey, concealed his intentions, and struck when the moment was right. 29 postseason home runs, 165 runs batted in a single season, a World Series MVP, numbers that belong alongside the greatest right-handed hitters in the history of the game. And yet the question remains, without the decisions that ended his career early, where exactly does Manny Ramirez stand in that history? Nobody knows. That might be the most terrifying thing about him.